An affordable near bezel-less phone from the company that started this whole trend almost 4 years ago? I'm Alex with SipNoTech, and here's our full review of the Sharp Aquos S2. With Sharp phones, you start and end the conversation with the display. In 2014, they came out with the Aquos Crystal and put a concept out that would eventually be the direction the industry would migrate towards. This year, the Aquos S2 evolves that near bezel-less screen that has a 5.5-inch 1080 by 2040p IPS display. Without a question, this is the best thing about this phone, the moneymaker. There is no better way to test out those pixels than to open up a K-pop music video. If you feel like you are tripping out with all those sparkling colors, then it's a good display. And this is a good display. The headlines, though, will read Sharp Aquos S2 and its weird clipped off corners. There isn't an excuse or reasoning for those corners to be clipped off, at least none that I have. But what I can say is that in everyday use, you really don't notice it, or you quickly learn to overlook it. And unlike a lot of phones going with the new 18:9 aspect ratio this year, the S2 defaults at 17:9. It doesn't utilize the screen perfectly for third-party apps, but you can force it to give you 17:9 results. I don't recommend it though. You should stick with 16:9 for third-party apps and 17:9 with system apps. The clipped-off corners don't annoy me as much as the Earpiece Speaker grill does. It is a dust trap that is impossible to clean. That is a very bad design choice for Sharp. They should have kept it flat. The single bottom firing speaker doesn't provide much bass, but it's fine for a casual user. Ridiculous. That is above average, transcending everything, shattering everything. The dump energy is telling me that. Whatever Sharp is doing to optimize the most out of the Snapdragon 630 with 4GB of RAM, they're doing a great job. The performance is smooth across Android Nougat and about what I had expected when comparing with other mid-range phones this year. Apps, pages, and games load up slightly slower on a flagship running at A35, that much is noticeable, but in terms of performance, there really wasn't an app in my suite of apps that caused the Aquos S2 to sink. All I really need to say is that I didn't miss having a $700+ phone in my hands while using the Aquos S2, and when a mid-ranger can give you that reassurance, it's doing its job on the performance end. Lastly, before we flip to the other side of the S2, the front houses a super narrow fingerprint scanner. Squint and you might miss it's there. Here it is next to the U11, which I thought had a pretty tight one as it is. The sensor doubles as a home button and is pretty accurate and relatively quick to unlock. Now, if the front of the Aquos S2 is a beauty, then the back is a beast, and not in a good way. I made an error in my unboxing video claiming it is a glass back, which only the higher end model has. This base set unit is a cheap plastic material that really ruins half the experience of this device. It's okay to use plastic. I've praised a couple of plastic backed phones as recently as a few months ago, but this plastic Sharp uses is the cream of the crop in cheapness. There is no weight, no substance behind it. The Aquos S2 feels like a toy. The more I use it, the more disappointed I am with it. The unboxing video, it didn't really bother me too much when I was using it then, but putting it through the constant rigors of daily driving use, I don't feel comfortable relying on this to take a beating. The camera hump, for one thing, is ridiculous. This is iPhone X camera hump bad. You can't set this thing down on a table naked and expect to scroll and tap the display. You just can't do it. You gotta pop that included case on it to even the back out, Ridiculous that this is something we even need to talk about. Evening out the back of a phone with a case so it could be placed down on a table flatly? The one thing I can say positively is that I like the size. In an age where we're surrounded by big and tall phones, this is considered one-hand friendly. It does fit comfortably in your hand without you needing to fumble your grip to hit the top of the screen. Here are some phones in my drawer that I consider one-hand friendly. As you can see, the S2 hits a pretty decent spot. Another thing that made this difficult to use as a daily driver is the occasional rejection of the display to recognize a long press. Factor that in with some weird notification disappearances where the phone flat out rejects notifying me of incoming notifications. The settings and the permissions are correctly on, but the phone just doesn't want to tell me things, and at the end of the day, that's the number one thing we require of our phones, to keep us in the loop. Finally, the camera. We have some dual lens action going on here with a 12 megapixel and a 8 megapixel f1.8 rear sensors. Unfortunately for longtime viewers, this is the broken record segment. In optimal lighting, the images are fine. They will probably satisfy about 75% of you users out there. Low light though, you got some issues. The grain and fuzziness, this is all stuff we've seen over and over and over, with only a handful of phones truly offering great results on both fronts. The simulated bokeh effect works, but takes a lot of finessing to get the image you want. All in all though, the